What are yogas in Vedic astrology? I was quite amazed. This is another part of Vedic astrology, like Dasas, Nakshatras, and now yogas, which are just stunning about Vedic astrology. I didn't realize that certain planets, their conjunctions, their aspects, can actually create a yoga in your chart, a planetary yoga. And this could be obviously for better or for worse, but generally speaking, uh, nearly all of us have got some form of yoga or 10 or 20 in our charts. So and some of the most fantastic people I have come across, they literally know hundreds of these yogas by heart. It's absolutely incredible. Okay, I don't know that, so I just literally, but what I do, I apply a few of them to my readings. One of the most important ones is Raja Yoga. Raja Yoga basically means a yoga of greatness. Raj being the king. So, and when they are absolutely blemishless, they're called Maharaja Yogas. And these are literally when the lord of an angle house and a trine house, these exchange houses. Or the lord of an angle and a trine are conjunct in a house together. And it could be when an angle lord and a trine lord are aspecting each other, or the lord of an angle goes into a trine and a trine lord goes into an angle. So these are like the very basics of how they are formed. Now, obviously, we all have different ascendants, and first, fifth, and ninth house are the trines in our charts, and first, fourth, seventh, and 10th are our angles. So when you see any of those combinations, then you know there is like a Raja Yoga happening. When they are blemishless is, for example, is when for a Capricorn ascendant, Venus becomes a very strong planet for them because it's friendly. Saturn and Venus are friendly to each other, and then Venus is also a benefic planet, and it rules the strongest angle, which is the fifth. Well, one of them, because all three of them are strong, fifth house, but it also rules their 10th house of career. So this is a planet, then becomes a Yoga Karaka planet. That is just a really strong planet for them. And it is the same for Aquarius. Venus again is a very strong planet, and Saturn is again for a Libra and a Taurus ascendant, the Yoga Karaka planet as well. And for Cancer and Leo, you find that Mars for both of them becomes very strong Yoga Karaka planets. And but the nature of Mars is obviously malefic. It's a natural malefic, so it can still cause some issues in transits and things. It can do that for everyone, but generally speaking, these are like the perfect ones. So if you get like Mars for Leo ascendant, if Mars goes into their 10th house of Taurus for a Leo ascendant, then that is a massive Raja Yoga for them. And because all on its own, no matter where it goes, if it goes into any house, it just creates a wealth of opportunities anyway. So this is one of the things I wanted to actually share with you. So these are very important. So if you find as obviously you can just go through all the ascendants. So for example, for an Aries ascendant, Mars is the first house ruler, so it's an angle lord, and it's also a trine lord as well. So that can actually create good opportunities for them anyway. However, it's not blemishless because Aries is also ruling their 8th house. So this is the sort of things you want to look at. So it is an impressionable house. So that is, although it gives good results, so if that was, say, Mars was in conjunction with Sun, for example, because Sun rules another a trine house, so it becomes like trine Lord Sun and angular Lord Mars together. They create a Raja Yoga together. But because Mars rules the 8th house, is slightly blemished. So, for example, if the Sun, which is ruling their 5th house, goes into their 1st house, then that becomes a blemishless Raja Yoga for them. So almost like a Maharaja Yoga. Also, if he goes into their 4th house, because it's friendly with the moon, that again creates another Raja Yoga as well. Jupiter again is also a ruler of a trine, the 9th house for them, for Aries Ascendant, but also rules the 12th house, so there will be some losses with that. But however, it is still a strong planet for them. So if that goes into their, say, 10th house, Capricorn, although if it's debilitated, it still is a Raja Yoga. And if it goes into their, say, 4th house, Cancer, it's a Raja Yoga. And if he goes into Libra, that's again another Raja Yoga for them. But it would not be as good as Sun. The Sun actually provides the best one for them. If you go to Taurus, for example, I'm just going to give you a few examples. For Taurus ascendants, Saturn is a very important planet for them. It rules their 9th and 10th house, which is like Capricorn and Aquarius. And it is literally becomes a functional benefic for them. It works really well. It's on its own, sitting in any house pretty much gives them the Raja Yoga. Obviously, you want them to go into good houses. You want them like to go into their 7th house or something like that, you know, or 1st house even. So it gives the better fruits. But yeah, it's a very strong placement for them. And actually in transit right now in March 2021, both Aries and Taurus ascendants are actually enjoying those fruits. They get in transit. The ruler of their 10th house for Aries and 9th and 10th house for Taurus is sitting in Capricorn. So it's providing them with the Raja Yoga in transit. So when you see these coming, you can actually plan ahead for projects because, you know, particularly if your Dasha has kicked in as well. And I'm going to just mention something called Ashtakawaga. I will come to that. If the houses are strong, if Capricorn's strong, then it can actually give them a lot of sort of like, give them rise in life, if you like. And if we go to Taurus now, Gemini. So Gemini has Venus as the ruler of their 5th house, but it also rules their 12th house. So it's not completely blemish free, if you like, but on its own, again, if it's even sitting in Virgo, which is their debilitation house, still provides them with a Raja Yoga. So if the 5th lord then goes into, say, their 10th house, Pisces, even though it's their exaltation sign for Venus, so that will give them a massive, Raja Yoga. And actually in transit now, Venus is approaching that exaltation, so they probably feel there is something grand coming up for them. And also Jupiter rules their 7th and their 10th house as well. But it's actually debilitated in the 8th house now in transit. However, because it's a benefic, ruling an angular house takes some of its power away from it. Because obviously angle, lords, it's always better if they are slightly sort of like malefic, they give you more sort of oomph in life, if you like. But nonetheless, it is a good planet for Gemini. And it's literally will be going pretty soon in April. It will be going, Jupiter will be traveling to Aquarius, which is their 9th house. So it's a great house. So again, that gives them, like, the 10th lord will be in the 9th. So it's amazing. Or the 7th lord has traveled into the 9th. Again, that's another Raja Yoga. So they will have double Raja Yogas there with Jupiter. And if we look at Cancer, Mars literally rules their is their Yoga Karaka planet, so rules their 5th and also their 10th house. So it's a massively important planet for them. And it was, up to recently, it was actually in Aries for them in their 10th house. So that must have given them so much fruit. They must have really noticed that they they had a lot of recognition at work. And this goes on for all the planets, all the way to Pisces. You can actually just work out which planet is friendly to your ascendant lord, or what if they rule an angular and a trine. And if you find that there's an exchange between them, they are sort of like conjunct, aspecting each other, or the lord of the sort of like trine lord has gone into an angle house and vice versa. That, or if you have it in your chart, that gives you a Raja Yoga of success. So this is one of the very many of the yogas, but it's one that you want to look at because you will be surprised how many of these you might have. And I always find that if you go, say for example, for Aries, if they're going to, if the sun is a very important planet for them, you want to look at the sun's position in all of the Vargas divisional charts and see if they actually also create other Raja Yogas in those Vargas of success. Now, one of the other things that I look at as well is I look at these yogas from the moon as well. So if it repeats again from the moon, then you know that it's just going to be amazing for you. You know, that is a really, really strong Raja Yoga, because not only will you have the success, but you will feel the success as well. So that's really important. And the other thing that I urge you to do as well is, if you're going through a Mahadasha, a planetary period of any planet, say for example, if you're going through Rahu Mahadasha, and you want to see which planet is dispositing it as well, and what the condition is of that planet. But also you want to look who the Subdasha or Untitled Dasha is, and you want to have a look at those planets as well, and just see if they form any kind of like Raja Yogas. If reading from Rahu, if you're going to get some Raja Yogas as well, because that actually means that during that period you will come with those successes will come to you. And check all the Vargas as well, see if those actually repeat in your divisional charts as well, because that again, I think the feeling of success is probably greater than the success itself. So yeah, that is Raja Yoga, and I will come back with other yogas for you very soon. Thank you for watching. Thank you.